Hello, I'm Gerald Lewis. I'm a cardiologist and general physician practicing in New Zealand, and this is another of my medical talks on the web. Today's talk is fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. Fibromyalgia, aching body, aching muscles and joints, irritable everywhere, chronic fatigue, overwhelming tiredness, can't sleep, depression, and many people have one or other or halfway between the two, and the more unfortunate ones tend to have both. So what is it? What causes it and what can we do about it? And by we, I'm talking about those who have the condition, not we doctors, because as you'll discover, we really don't have many answers. Because this is the bane of the doctor, the misery of the patient. The patient's got many symptoms, and all we actually do is give a diagnosis, which is fibro, which is fibrous tissue, myalgia, muscles hurt. So the fibrous tissue and the muscles hurt, and the patient tells us that. We don't make that diagnosis. But the other symptoms are they're tired, can't sleep, listless, apathy, depressed, can't concentrate. Depression and suicide is a real problem. Irritable everything, irritable bowel, irritable muscles, irritable bladder, irritable heart with palpitations, irritable mood, and increased sensitivity to pain. And the trouble is when the patient goes to see the doctor, the patient says, I don't look sick. The doctor does some blood tests and comes back and says, every test I've done on you is normal. And for quite a long time, these patients were told they were neurotic, hysterical, malingering, but more importantly, doctors couldn't do anything to help. And the patients often felt when they walked out, they don't believe me, I feel dreadful, but I just can't cope with what I've got. So what caused it? The answer is we have no idea. Is it after a virus? Is it due to fungus, particularly Candida? Is it due to heavy metal poisoning? Is it due to phosphate poisoning? The answer is it could be all or any of these. We have no answer at the moment. What can we do about it? Medical treatments, drugs, antidepressant, pain pills, physiotherapy are spectacularly unsuccessful, and it's not surprising that drugs don't work, because when you look at the metabolic pathways inside our body, which look something like that, we throw a drug in it, although it may relieve one or two symptoms, it can screw up all the other processes. So basically drugs are unlikely to help. We can remove the toxins that causes it. We can remove mercury or phosphates. Mercury removal is actually very hard to do safely. That's a pipe there which is high pressure suction, and as you can see, both the dentists and their as associate have also got masks on, because removing mercury can be quite dangerous. It's very hard to do safely. If it's not done properly, it can make the poisoning worse. And I think before anybody has mercury removed, it's important to check the hair toxicity and make sure, in fact, you have got mercury poisoning before taking it out. And also, there's not a huge amount of data that people get better after removing mercury. Removal of phosphate. It's believed that maybe phosphate poisoning could be the cause of it. A lot of farming areas use superphosphate sprays over the years, and phosphates tend to sludge up the cells, and that may cause some of the symptoms. Now, there's a compound called guaifenesin, which is found in cough syrups, which can actually remove the phosphate from the cells. Now, initially, it can actually make the symptoms worse before they start getting better, and it's also important that guaifenesin is blocked by the action of aspirin. So if you're on guaifenesin, don't take aspirin if you get pain. Removing toxins from the bowel. Our bowel's got good bacteria and bad bacteria. The good bacteria keep it clean, make it work properly. The bad bacteria cause all sorts of problems. They cause stasis and blockages. Candida develops, toxins develop, you get brain fog, the liver, the toxins are absorbed, and that overloads the bacteria in the bowel, can also cause malnutrition. So it's important to keep the bowel clean, and that means taking regular fiber in the diet, drinking plenty of fluids. Colonics, I really don't know about colonics, but many people find that beneficial. And the other thing which is very important, I believe, is to take regular probiotics, which are the good bacteria to keep the bowel clean and working properly. Now, there's another talk on my website on probiotics if you'd like to go and see it after this talk. Number 3 is natural treatments, how we can help the body to cope and how we can treat the condition. And I think this is the best way of doing it. First of all, higher doses of hormones, dietary and nutritional supplements, energy supplements, and herbs. And we're going to go through these one at a time. Hormones, first of all. Most times, in most patients, the blood tests show normal hormone levels, particularly thyroid and adrenal, but many of the symptoms are very similar to patients who have low thyroid and adrenal function. And we can help their symptoms by giving them slightly higher doses of thyroid hormones and hydrocortisone, particularly natural thyroids. It's almost as if the hormones can't get through. Something is blocking the hormones. The normal level of hormone can't enter into the cell. But if you give enough of the hormone, it gradually bombards through and eventually gets through. So we should be aiming for optimal, which is usually the high normal range, particularly of the thyroid tests. Check the sex hormones, progesterone, DHEA, estrogen, and testosterone, because these symptoms are much more common as menopause approaches and those hormones start to lower. And if the levels are low, replace them. And it's important, especially progesterone and testosterone, and don't use the HRT, the drug-produced hormone replacement therapies, because they cause more problems and they don't solve the problem. The reason that we have HRT is that picture down the bottom left-hand corner is the gut, and when hormones enter into the gut, they have to pass through the liver before getting into the body, and in the liver they're destroyed. So basically the pharmaceutical companies change the natural hormones so they pass through the liver so the liver doesn't recognize them. The only way of getting natural hormones into your body is through the skin. So you have creams or oils, put them on skin and rub them through the skin, and the areas that people recommend are A, B, C, and D. Optimal nutrition seems incredibly logical, and yet we in medicine tend to ignore this. Many of the symptoms of these patients are like vitamin deficiency. They've also got poor appetite. Fiber actually affects the gut and absorption, so it seems logical to give the cells all the nutrients they need to work as well as they should. But unfortunately, much of today's food is over-processed and nutritionally poor. So it seems logical to me and to most people who really think about it is that we should be taking nutritional supplements to make absolutely certain that our diet is complete and our cells get all the nutrients they require to function properly and to fight this condition. Which supplements? I'm not talking about taking hundreds. I'm talking about taking a good quality multi, which is multivitamins, antioxidants, and minerals, omega-3 fish oil, mercury-free, make sure it's mercury-free, and extra calcium and magnesium. So that's multi fish oils and calcium and magnesium. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't eat as well as you possibly could. You absolutely should, and try and make it as organic as possible if you can. Herbal supplements. Now, unfortunately, you talk to your doctor about herbs, and we have no idea because we learned nothing about herbs at medical school. And unfortunately, if that happens, we basically say it doesn't work or we don't know. But in actual fact, you look at the Chinese medicine, you look at Indian medicine, Himalayan medicine. In New Zealand, we have Maori medicine, and there are many books written on herbs, which are all very effective. And many of our modern drugs, in fact, come from herbs and from nature. So I don't think we should ignore herbs, particularly when they can do us good. And they certainly do in fibro and chronic fatigue. Herbs which have been shown to help the mind and also the body include ginseng, which helps the body to cope with stress, improves mental and physical performance, rhodiola, which enhances the mood, the memory, the brain function, reduces irritability and fatigue. And that's exactly what you want in these two conditions. Ginger has an anti-inflammatory action, eases aches and pains, which once again for fibromyalgia, and turmeric contains curcumin, which is also an anti-inflammatory. Do they help? In my experience, they certainly do. Take herbs, ginseng, rhodiola as a supplement, and include ginger and turmeric in the diet. Energy supplements, chronic fatigue. Many of the symptoms are due to blockages in energy production. Not only is it not enough energy, so basically people are very tired and fatigued, but also if metabolism isn't good, what happens is this creates a buildup of damaging toxins inside the cells, and that may be why the cells are so sensitive and so painful. Now, I don't want to go into this great detail, but the Krebs citric acid cycle is the energy cycle within the cell. And what happens is glucose comes in there, fats come in there, they form acetyl-CoA, and then as that passes around the Krebs citric acid cycle, it creates energy. And a number of things are required for this cycle to work properly. It needs fuel, which is glucose and fats. It needs malate there in the cycle, and with people with chronic fatigue tend to run out of malate. L-carnitine is necessary to get the fats to the citric acid cycle. Coenzyme Q10 is needed to create the energy. Basically, the energy is created in those little lightning bolts, and coenzyme Q10 is essential to transport those to the cells that need it. And also, everybody knows that caffeine gives energy and stimulation. So basically, we can help energy in many ways. There are other therapies that might help. Massage, for some people, it's hugely beneficial. For others, it actually causes more pain. Gentle pressure is important. Stretching, myofascial massage appears to be important as well. Use an expert. Don't just go to any massage therapy. Eat mainly low glycemic foods, because a lot of the high glycemic foods, which there's a graph there showing what the high glycemic foods do, the blood sugar rises high and then it crashes down low below that line, and that causes hypoglycemia, which makes many of the symptoms worse. So use low glycemic foods. Acupuncture, acupressure, yoga, meditation, relaxation suit some, don't suit others, but nevertheless I think in many cases they're very beneficial. So let's put it all together. Diet, check whether foods make you feel worse. Grains, dairy, sweet foods, etc. And if they do, simply try and avoid them from your diet if you possibly can. Check your hormone status, thyroid, adrenal function, male and sex hormones, which is testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, DHEA. And if the levels are low, replace them. Detoxify, fiber, fluids, probiotics. Eat as healthy as you can, as well as you can, as organic as you can. Take a good supplement, which is a multi, fish oils, calcium and magnesium. Take herbs, supplemental rhodiola, ginseng, turmeric, and ginger in the diet, and then take energy supplements, coenzyme Q10, L-carnitine, malate, and caffeine. Now, it's important to discuss the hormone tests with your doctor because he or she is the only person that can get those for you. And make sure that your thyroid level is near the upper limit of normal, if not slightly above. And also make sure that your sex hormone level is well within the normal range, once again at the upper level, and you'll feel a lot better. Supplements, make sure they're complete, they're made to good quality, and they're pure, because many impurities in supplements can actually cause problems. Herbs and energy supplements, you can take those individually, but there are products which contain all of them. So you can basically take most of the things on the previous slide in a drink, which gives you them all on a regular basis. And that's what I do. Now, if you follow this regime, I can promise you that you will feel a great deal better. So thank you for listening. That's my email address if you have any questions or comments, and my website there at the bottom as well. Thank you for listening.